Hey everybody, another video here for you today. We're going back to ancient America, and I originally was going to make an ancient America video yesterday, and I ended up doing the one on the pyramidal tomb found in Lebanon. But unlike my video this morning, there's not going to be any amazing golden artifacts or any amazing pics. Not all history is made up of amazing sites. Some of it's lost and gone forever. Lost history. This is one of the sites here today. This is the Hollywood Mound site right down here. Here is the area today in northwestern Mississippi. You notice branches of the Mississippi did cut through here at one time. Are those called oxbow lakes? I can't remember. I think that's what they're called. Let's go down here and check out the site. I think there was as many as 27 mounds here at one time. Today, just empty farmland as far as the eye can see. But with modern technology, we can detect what once was here. Here are all the mounds in the Mississippi Mound Trail. I've covered some of these, the Smith Creek and the Natchez and a few of these other ones, Winterville, but there are many on here I haven't covered. That'll give you an idea how many mound sites there are, since I made about 265 ancient America videos. Looking at this from overhead, you would never know that there was something ancient here, even though trees do cover a lot of the mound sites. But you can kind of detect some different patterns of the growth here. Stuff grows different depending on what it's growing out of. Let's go over to radar imaging here. Here's the site. You notice all these little enclosures here. One big main mound right there. Still detectable today and a few small mounds off it. But this place, lost to history, lost to memory. Does anybody know it's here? I wonder. Here's the historical marker at the bottom here. This is on private property. Stay the bleep off of it. It says Hollywood Mounds originally consisted of a large platform mound surrounded by a series of smaller mounds. At 20 feet in height, Mound A is the site's central feature and was once enclosed on three sides by connected mounds forming an embankment. These boundary mounds, as well as three mounds to the east of Mound A, were plowed down by the mid-20th century, but their locations have been confirmed by archaeologists. The mounds were built by the Native American people during the Mississippian period, roughly 800 to 600 years ago, or 400 years ago. I can do math. Here's a look at the site today. And I wanted to mention this. After Dad passed, we went through his papers, and I mentioned that I am part Native American in videos before, but I got the exact details. Great-great-grandma was a Cherokee, and I'm damn proud of that. Wisdom keepers, heck yeah. So about 10% Cherokee. No wonder I have this great interest in ancient America. Kind of all makes sense now. Here's another look at the site. Now let's remove the trees. Here is Lidar of the site. And Lidar is important at these ancient American mound sites because a lot of the bottoms of the mounds were covered up by sediment, so they are preserved. You get a kind of an idea here of what existed. Here is an aerial photo from 1938 of the site, and these small mounds are those houses right there, but Mound A is perfectly visible from overhead there. 1938 says, when first mapped in 1926, Hollywood Mound consisted of a large pyramidal platform mound enclosed on three sides by a series of smaller mounds forming an earthen embankment. Three additional mounds were located towards the eastern boundary of the site along the edge of the mound bayou. Together, the boundary mounds and the bayou defined a rectangular area of approximately 1.5 hectares. Today, Mound A, as well as three small boundary mounds towards the north, are visible, but barely. Recently, professional archaeologists have used non-destructive geophysical survey techniques as well as targeted excavations to determine the history of the mound building at the site. One of these techniques, magnetic gradiometry, has been particularly successful at locating varied features at the site, including several boundary mounds that are no longer visible from the surface. The mounds exhibit distinct magnetic signature due to the fact that the buildings on their summits were burned, and the remains were then pushed over the edge of the mounds, creating a halo around each mound with an enhanced magnetic properties. As many as 27 former mounds have been identified at the site. Many correspond to the location of mounds mapped in the earliest 20th century. So it seems like this place at the end was burned. Excavations at the site determined that the small boundary mounds were the first earthworks built here by Native American people. They were built during the Mississippian period, sometime around 1300 AD, Afterwards, the plaza area defined by the boundary mounds was artificially raised and flattened, a process that involved moving more dirt than all the mounds at the site combined. Sometime after the completion of the plaza, or perhaps in conjunction with its construction, Mississippian people built Mound A, the site's central feature. The sequence of building happened remarkably quickly at Hollywood. And that is interesting. All these mound sites appear to have a little bit of a different history, but a main central mound right there. That is a little history of the Hollywood Mounds. Overhead pic from 1938. This is a place that has been lost to history and would remain lost to history if people didn't talk about it. So that's why I'm doing it today. This is one of many ancient cities that were located in this part of the lower Mississippi region. These people at the Hollywood Mounds, certainly observing the stars. That's another Ancient America video, Lost History, coming from the very northwest point in Mississippi. A lot of ancient sites around this area. Hope you thought that was cool. And you all have a very nice day.